If she doesn't fear losing you, you've already lost her. Read that again. Not because it's clever, but because it's true. And not just true. Painfully true. You've felt it, haven't you? That sudden drop in her interest. That slow pull away when you start caring too much. When you make her the center of your world, she slowly makes you less and less a part of hers. This isn't heartbreak. It's a slow death of self-worth. And most men, they watch it happen in silence, thinking they just need to do more, be nicer, be better. But being better is not the solution if you're doing better at the wrong things. You want to know why she doesn't chase you, why she stopped respecting you. It's because you became predictable, you became replaceable. You became everything she said she wanted and everything she didn't feel anything for. And it's not your fault yet, but it will be if you don't change it today. Right now. Comment, "I choose power," if you're done playing the weak role. This video isn't for comfort. It's not to tell you you're doing great. It's to wake you up. Because if you don't start living with emotional discipline, self-respect, and absolute purpose, you'll keep being the guy she keeps around, while chasing the one who makes her feel something. And right now, you finally have access to the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men. This is the exact playbook designed for men who are tired of guessing. It gives you the real structure, the mindset shifts, and the proven principles to instantly become the man who commands respect, desire, and admiration. If you've ever felt unseen, ignored, or taken for granted, this is where everything flips. You'll understand her behavior before she speaks. You'll know how to respond with power, not emotion. You'll become that rare man she fears losing. You get clarity. You gain certainty. You take back control. And the best part? This blueprint is now available to the public for a limited time. To preserve the value inside, it won't be accessible forever. This is that moment you look back on and say, that's where everything changed. You're not here to beg for love. You're here to become unforgettable. And that starts today. With this one truth, she must fear losing you or she'll never truly value you. Number 1. Mystery triggers desire. She doesn't desire what she fully understands. She never has, and she never will. From the very beginning of time, women have been drawn not to the man who lays out his every thought, his every plan, his every feeling, but to the man who remains just out of reach, just beyond full grasp, just distant enough to awaken her most primal instinct, curiosity. When she can predict your next move, she gets bored. When she knows exactly how your mind works, how your day unfolds, how you'll react to every situation, she loses the drive to pursue. And yet, most men suffocate their own mystery in the name of emotional transparency. They overshare, over-explain, over-communicate, thinking it will make her feel safe. It doesn't. It makes her feel superior. She doesn't crave a diary. She craves depth. She wants to feel something when she thinks of you, uncertainty, excitement, the thrill of not knowing whether she has your full attention. This is not manipulation, it's biology. And you've felt this too. Think back. Remember the women who never made their feelings clear, who were kind, then distant, interested, then detached. You couldn't stop thinking about them. Why? Because uncertainty fuels desire. It activates imagination. It fills in the blanks with your own emotional investment. That's the trap men don't set, but fall into. You see, when a man is too available, he stops being special. When a man is too consistent, he stops being interesting. When a man gives too much of himself too soon, she knows she has him. And when she knows she has you, she stops needing to earn you. Women don't want to maintain what they didn't fight to get. They want to feel the stakes. They want to wonder if they're enough. They want to know that other women would fight for your attention if they had the chance. When you let her peer into every corner of your world too early, she doesn't feel connected. She feels in control, and control kills respect. You have to be felt, not decoded. You have to be experienced, not explained. You have to live in a way that creates emotional gravity, not emotional dependence. That means you don't need to update her every hour. That means your moves don't need explanations. That means your life goes on even when she's not texting, not calling, not showing up like she used to. You let her feel the void, not with anger, but with quiet self-prioritization. You let her wonder, not because you're hiding, but because you're focused. Focused on growth, on health, on vision, on legacy. The man who is clear in purpose becomes unpredictable in romance, and unpredictable means unforgettable. She wants to figure you out because it means she's still emotionally investing. So don't overexpose your heart just to prove you have one. She'll feel it in how you carry yourself, in the way you don't flinch under pressure, in the way you stay grounded when she pulls away, in the way you make her earn your time, your focus, your energy. When you become a man of depth, not disclosure, you become the man she dreams about, obsesses over, and respects without needing to be reminded. Because mystery isn't a game, it's an art. And every great man masters it not to deceive, but to lead with dignity, not to confuse, but to command attention, not to run from intimacy, but to create space where true desire can actually grow. Become that man, the one she thinks about more than you text, the one she can't figure out but doesn't want to lose, the one who doesn't reveal everything, not because he's playing games, but because his focus is too valuable and his time too rare to be freely handed out to anyone who hasn't earned it. Number 2, stop explaining yourself. The moment you start explaining yourself, you shift from leading to pleading. You abandon your frame. You invite negotiation where there should be certainty. And deep down, you feel it. You feel that flicker of self-betrayal every time you type out that long message, trying to justify why you didn't call, why you cancelled plans, why you said what you said. That flicker is your intuition screaming at you. Why are you trying to convince her of something that should be obvious? When you explain yourself, what you're really saying is, I hope this is enough for you to stay. And that's exactly why she stops respecting you. Because she doesn't want to feel like she's in control of your emotions. She doesn't want to manage your feelings. She wants to feel your strength. She wants to see that your choices stand on their own, not on her reaction to them. You've seen this unfold in the most subtle ways. You cancel a date to handle business, and she questions your priorities. What do? You fold, you explain, you apologize for honoring your mission. But what if you didn't? What if you simply said, tonight doesn't work, I'll see you later this week, and left it at that? What if you stopped giving her power over your decisions by assuming she needs to understand them to accept them? Because here's the truth. The moment she senses you're seeking approval, she starts evaluating your value. And value never needs explanation. When's the last time you saw a man of true presence over-explain himself? He doesn't, because his actions are already aligned with his purpose. And when they're not understood, he doesn't panic. He doesn't need to. He leads. That's what you need to become. The man who doesn't explain his pace, his plans, his boundaries. The man who isn't moved by emotional pressure or passive aggression. The man who simply decides and lets others decide how they want to respond. That's real confidence. And confidence is not loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't beg. It just is. And she can feel it. She may not say it. She might challenge it. But deep down, that presence, that steadiness, that complete emotional independence, it draws her in like gravity. Because in a world of men seeking permission, the one who moves without it becomes rare. And rare is what keeps her attention, not your explanations, not your constant communication, Not your just wanted to make sure you're okay. You're not her emotional safety net. You're a leader. You're a builder. You're a man whose vision is too big to be detoured by insecurity. Start showing it. Every time you feel the urge to explain, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this for connection? Or am I doing this because I'm afraid she'll leave? If it's fear, don't send it. If it's reassurance you seek, don't say it. Stand tall, stand silent. Let your behavior speak for you. Because when a man stops explaining himself, he starts becoming undeniable. And that is the kind of man she respects, not because he made her understand, but because he made her feel the weight of a presence that doesn't shift just to be accepted. Number 3, let her see you have options. The truth is harsh, but you must face it. If she doesn't feel like she could lose you to someone else, she will never truly value what you give. And while the world may tell you to be loyal, consistent, endlessly available, that only works in a world where your value is recognized without proof. And unfortunately, we do not live in that world. Women are emotional, instinct-driven beings, and their attraction is not decided in logic, but in feeling. And one of the most powerful emotional triggers is the subtle but undeniable reality that you have options. Not that you're cheating, not that you're playing games, but that your life is so rich, so on purpose, so full of impact and momentum that it would be nothing for another woman to notice you. And this doesn't have to be spoken. It should never be announced. It should simply be felt in how you walk, in how you don't chase, in how you don't explain, in how you continue to build a life so magnetic that women orbit it, not because you ask them to, but because they can't help it. Most men live in the opposite state. They shrink their lives to fit inside a relationship. They stop socializing. They stop growing. They become emotionally obsessed with maintaining what they think they've been lucky enough to get. And that obsession becomes repulsion. She feels it. She knows you're all in, and not from strength but from fear. And that's when everything changes. The replies get slower. The affection fades. The interest dies. Not because she's evil, not because she's trying to hurt you, but because instinctively she doesn't chase what's chasing her too hard. She doesn't need to hold on when she knows you have nowhere else to go. And the man who forgets this lives in heartbreak for years, wondering why he did everything right and still lost her. You didn't lose her because you weren't enough. You lost her because you made her everything. She wants to know she had to compete for your attention, even if there is no one else. She wants to feel that your time is precious, that your standards are high, that not every woman gets access to your inner world. Because if any woman can have you, what value does she feel in keeping you? This is not about pretending, it's about building. Build yourself, build your body, build your bank, build your vision, build your world so completely that you don't flinch if she leaves, because you know there are other women who'd be thrilled to take her place. And when she senses that, not because you told her, but because you live it, everything changes. She starts showing up. She starts working to please you. She starts protecting the connection she used to take for granted. Women are territorial, and they are most loyal when they know their man is valuable to others. They're not loyal to weakness. They're loyal to strength that doesn't need them. You've probably seen it. The guy she chased wasn't always the nicest. He wasn't always the most available, but he made her feel something. He gave her the tension of unpredictability. And you can be the same, but only if you stop making her the mission and start becoming the man who lives on mission. Because the moment she realizes you're not hers by default, she'll do everything she can to earn her place. And that's when you truly begin to lead. Number 4, always be able to walk. Nothing will change your life more than the power to walk away, and not walk away in rage, not in pain, but in peace, in calm, rooted knowing that your value does not shrink when someone fails to see it. Most men live in fear, crippling, quiet, soul-numbing fear. The fear of being alone, the fear of starting over, the fear of losing the one thing they think they can't live without. And that fear becomes the leash that controls them. It shows up when she disrespects them and they stay, when she pulls away and they chase harder, when she withdraws her affection and they become even more desperate to win it back. That is the life of a man who has never tasted his own power. And that ends now. Because the truth is, when you can walk away, not as a threat, not as a tactic, but as a fact, you become untouchable. She can feel it in your energy. It's not what you say, it's what you don't say. It's the strength behind your eyes that tells her you are not trapped here, that you choose this connection, but never at the cost of your soul, and it will challenge her. She may test it. She may pull back to see if you'll follow. She may push to see if you'll fold. And every time you stay centered, she comes closer, because now she's not holding on to a puppet. She's engaging with a man who has his own gravity. That gravity is built in solitude, in the gym, in early mornings, in your craft, in your discipline. You don't find that kind of power in women. You bring it to them. And when they feel it, they act differently. They speak softer. They show up more. They fight harder. Because no woman wants to lose a man who doesn't fear losing her. That's the paradox. When you stop fearing the end, you become the one she can't afford to lose. Because you're the one who never chased her to begin with. You were simply building, choosing, expanding. You didn't beg. You didn't explain. You just lived. And if she couldn't match your energy, your standards, your movement, you kept moving. That is the only posture of a man who wins. Not the one who gets louder, not the one who tries harder, but the one who stays grounded when most would lose themselves. This power doesn't come easy. It requires ego death, the death of attachment, the death of approval seeking. But on the other side of that death is something unshakable. The ability to walk, not because you want to, but because you can. And that ability will set the tone for every connection you ever have. She will never question your value when she knows you value yourself enough to leave when needed. So stop giving chances you don't believe in. Stop tolerating disrespect just to keep the peace. Stop anchoring your identity to how well she loves you. You are not here to convince anyone to stay. You are here to be so aligned with your truth that staying becomes the obvious choice. And if it doesn't, you walk. Head high, shoulders back, purpose intact. That's what separates the few men who lead from the many who chase. That's what transforms attraction into admiration. And that's what will change your life forever. Not when you find the right woman, but when you finally become the man who doesn't need her to feel whole. Number 5. Ignore her when she pulls away. When she starts to pull away, your instincts will scream at you to fix it. Don't. Because every time you chase a woman who has emotionally distanced herself, you hand her the script to manipulate your peace. The beginning is always the same. She starts taking longer to reply, stops initiating, says she's just busy, but you feel it. The warmth has cooled, the effort has dropped, the connection feels thinner, like a thread unraveling one day at a time. And what do most men do? They chase, they text more, they double down, they write paragraphs explaining how much they care, they send flowers, they become emotional beggars for attention they used to get freely. But what you fail to understand in those moments is this: when she pulls away, she is testing you, not for words, but for strength. She wants to see if she can shake you, if you'll break, if your identity collapses the moment her interest does, and if you react with panic, if you over-pursue, if you flood her with reassurance, you prove her right. You are just like every other man. What most men don't realize is that attraction isn't nurtured by comfort. It's maintained by challenge, scarcity, and self-respect. When you chase her as she retreats, you flip the dynamic. You make her the leader and yourself the follower. She doesn't want that. She may act like she does. She may demand emotional closeness, but in truth, she's hardwired to respect the man who stands firm when she sways, the man who keeps his ground when she goes distant, the man who doesn't panic when she creates space. Because real emotional strength is not the ability to feel, it's the ability to not flinch when others try to control you through theirs. This is the moment that separates the grounded from the fragile. It's in these quiet shifts that women decide if they can respect you, not in how hard you try to win her back, but in how clearly you value yourself when her attention becomes inconsistent. You don't match her distance with drama. You match it with detachment. You don't confront her with accusations. You confront yourself with truth. Do I want to be with someone who's only present when it's convenient? And that answer should echo louder than your fears. Because every time you choose self-respect over emotional reactivity, you tell her something that words never could. You are a man of standards, not a man who needs her to feel secure, not a man who tolerates emotional breadcrumbs, but a man who can let go of what no longer reaches for him. And that kind of man doesn't lose women. He filters them, because the woman who's worthy won't pull away to test him. She'll pull closer to support him. But if she does pull away, and your response is to vanish, not out of pride, but out of peace, you force her to face the weight of her absence. And in that absence, if she feels nothing, you gained your clarity. If she comes back stronger, you gained her respect. Either way, you never lose. So the next time she withdraws, don't lean in, don't explain, don't check in. Let her feel the value of your presence by experiencing your absence. And if she truly values you, she'll return, not to find a man still waiting, but a man who's kept moving, kept building, and never begged for what should have been mutually maintained. Number 6. Make her chase. A woman who never has to work for your attention will never fully value your presence. It's a truth that feels unfair to good men, men who give without hesitation, who lead with their hearts, who try to do all the right things. But it's exactly why so many of those men are left hurt, confused, and hollow when the woman they invested everything into simply stops responding, stops appreciating, stops showing up. And they wonder why. They wonder how it could fall apart when they gave her consistency, affection, time. But here's the truth they were never told. Women don't fall in love with convenience. They fall in love with effort. And when all the effort is coming from you, when she never has to earn your interest, when your presence is assumed, your calls guaranteed, your time always available, she doesn't feel excitement. She feels control. And when she feels control, she loses desire. The only way to flip that dynamic is to create a shift in who is pursuing who, not through manipulation, but through energy. Stop being so eager. Stop trying to win her over. Start living in a way that makes her feel the cost of your attention. Make her earn it. And how do you do that? You build a life so rich, so magnetic, so consumed by purpose and vision that she has to lean in to stay connected. You stop being the man who texts good morning every day. You become the man she wonders if she'll hear from. You stop being the man who plans every date. You become the man whose schedule is full, whose focus is deep, whose time is earned, not assumed. And here's what happens when you shift into that space. She starts thinking, she starts wondering, she starts analyzing every small detail of your interaction. Not because you're withholding, but because you're no longer available to be consumed. And this subtle power shift is what creates the chase. The chase doesn't begin when she's ignored. It begins when your energy becomes selective, when she sees you're not emotionally open to anyone who shows interest, when your standard is felt, not spoken. That's when she starts trying to impress you. That's when she starts checking your stories, responding to your messages, bringing her best to every interaction. Because now she feels that you could choose other women, and that feeling makes her fight for her spot. This is not arrogance. This is not cruelty. This is polarity. When you remove the chase from yourself, you open space for it in her, and the woman who chases you will respect you infinitely more than the one you chased into submission. She will invest more. She will offer more. She will value your presence because it was never guaranteed. So if you want her to stay, to engage, to crave your attention, stop throwing it at her. Let her reach for it. And when she does, reward her. When she doesn't, retreat. Not as a game, but as a principle, because attention given too freely becomes background noise. But attention that must be earned, that becomes addictive. Make her chase, not because you need her to, but because she needs to feel what you've always known. You are the prize, and not every woman gets a front row seat to greatness. Number 7. Respect is earned, not given. Respect is not a favor. It's a response to what you embody every single day as a man. The moment you expect it just because you exist, you've already given away the very foundation that makes it real. Respect isn't automatic, and the truth most men refuse to face is that she will never respect a man who tolerates being disrespected. You can't talk your way into it. You can't plead for it. You can't earn it by being endlessly nice. You earn it by being unshakable. You earn it by having standards that don't shift based on her mood or the fear of losing her. You earn it by doing exactly what you say, by keeping your word to yourself, even when it's inconvenient. And you earn it when she tests you and you don't flinch. Because she will test you, not because she's evil, but because she needs to know the truth about who you are. Women don't want to believe words. They want to feel truth. And truth is not in how you say, "I love you." It's in how you walk away when love is not returned with effort. Truth is not in saying you value peace. It's in how fast you remove yourself from emotional chaos. Truth is not found in shouting, in teaching, in reminding. It's in how you move when she's not watching. That's where respect is born. She respects the man who doesn't beg, who doesn't explain his worth, who doesn't tolerate being an afterthought. Because in a world where most men break themselves to be accepted, the one who refuses to bend becomes the one she remembers. That's the hard part. It means you might lose her. But losing someone while standing in your power will always hurt less than keeping someone who only stays because you lowered your standard. Respect doesn't come from the words you say. It comes from the life you live, from the boundaries you enforce, from the way you walk away from comfort when it costs you your dignity. It shows up in the little moments, when you say no without guilt, when you cancel plans to work on your purpose, when you don't respond to passive aggression with more energy, when you stop engaging arguments that go nowhere. Every time you do these things, she feels something most women never get to feel. A man who doesn't compromise himself for her approval. And that's the man she tells her friends about. That's the man she starts changing her behavior for. That's the man she fights to keep. Because real respect comes from the fear of not being good enough for him. That fear does not exist if you keep proving you'll settle for whatever she gives. So stop doing that. Stop showing her she can get away with emotional laziness and still keep your loyalty. Stop being proud of being the stable one while you tolerate instability. And stop calling yourself high value if you fold the second your standard is challenged. You want to be respected? Then be someone worth respecting, not through words, not through promises, but through the absolute clarity that your time, your presence, your loyalty are earned, not given away like a cheap gift just because she's beautiful. Your respect should not be conditional, but it should be expensive. Because when it's too easy to gain, it's too easy to lose. Raise your price, raise your posture, raise your pattern, and the right woman will either meet you at your level or remove herself from your space. Either way, your respect remains intact, and that's the only thing that can't be taken from a man who knows exactly who he is, no matter who's watching. Number 8. Be the prize, not the pleaser. You were never meant to chase affection. You were never built to beg for attention. Deep down, every part of you knows this truth. When you lower your standard to be liked, you lose the very essence of what makes you valuable. Being the prize isn't about ego. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to barter it for temporary closeness. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't wait to be chosen. He chooses. And when he chooses, he doesn't apologize for it. He doesn't shrink himself to fit her preferences. He doesn't ask permission to lead. He moves with quiet certainty that the world will either align with his presence or be left behind by it. But the problem is, most men have never felt like the prize. From childhood, they've been taught to please, to be agreeable, to put everyone else first and call it strength. But it's not strength, it's suppression. And suppression always leads to resentment. You start resenting the very people you're pleasing because deep down, you know you're betraying yourself to keep them. That ends the day you decide to reverse the equation, to stop trying to win her and start becoming someone she has to win. Not through mind games, not through manipulation, but through standards, through purpose, through presence. And when you live like that, really live like that, you stop trying to impress her with gifts, attention, and approval. You impress her by being a man she can't manipulate, a man she can't predict, a man who doesn't flinch when she pulls back, who doesn't panic when she throws tests, who doesn't lose his center just to keep her happy, because his happiness was never hers to manage. And when a woman feels that energy, not the words, but the weight of who you are, everything changes. She starts watching her tone. She starts thinking before she disrespects. She starts asking what you need instead of just taking what you give. Not because you demanded it, but because she feels it. She feels that your time is sacred, that your peace is protected, that your attention is not guaranteed. You become the standard. You become the reference point. You become the man she compares others to, not because you gave her everything, but because you required her best just to stay near. That is the power of being the prize, not just in dating, but in every relationship. Stop giving yourself away in hopes that someone will see you. Become someone too valuable to overlook. And watch what happens when your presence is no longer assumed, but earned. That is the man she fears losing, not because he chases her, but because he never needed to. If you're tired of giving your all and being left with nothing, if you're done watching her slip away while you beg to stay, if you're ready to stop being the man she forgets and start becoming the man she fears losing, then this is your turning point. Because the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men is not just advice. It's the weapon you were never handed, the manual you were never taught, the truth they never wanted you to have, and it's now linked in the comments below for those bold enough to claim it before it disappears, because truth like this can't stay public forever. It's too raw, too real, too honest, and if you felt every word of this video burn into your gut, if you saw yourself in these patterns and you're ready to rewrite the script, then type the Stoic Blueprint in the comments right now, smash the like button to show you're awake, and subscribe so we can reach every man still sleepwalking through life, still trying to earn love by losing himself. Don't let them stay blind. Don't let them waste another year, because this is more than content. This is a movement. This is the awakening. So click the link, grab the ebook, apply it like your future depends on it, because it does, and become the man who never begs, never breaks, and never settles for a love that costs him his self-worth.